What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Nerdy Mark channel. I'm Sid the Nerdy Mark, and welcome to a very special AEW and NXT review. So, why did I say a special review of AEW and NXT? Well, we have two pay-per-view caliber episodes of both AEW Dynamite and WWE's NXT. AEW's got Fyter Fest and NXT has the Great American Bash. Totally a coincidence, totally not counter programming, all that good stuff, you know, get the jokes out there. We'll see a couple of references to WWE this night, but since this is kind of being built up like a pay-per-view caliber show, I'm going to treat both shows as such, and I will be having a rating for both Fyter Fest Night 1 and Great American Bash Night 1, as well as Night 2 the next week. So obviously both shows will get 2 thumbs up or 2 thumbs down or somewhere in the middle. But with that being said, let's begin, and we'll start with Fyter Fest Night 1. So, at Night 1 of Fyter Fest, we do have Chris Jericho on commentary for a little bit. But the first match we do have is MJF and Wardlow taking on the Jurassic Express, represented, of course, by Jungle Boy, as well as Luchasaurus. Before the match does begin, obviously MJF gets on the microphone, and he basically says, I don't know why we're wrestling these two. I beat Jungle Boy at Double or Nothing. Wardlow beat Luchasaurus at the Lumberjack match. But of course, we are in the middle of a ratings war. So MJF drives ratings. I'm better than you. You know it. All that good stuff. Shots fired. Again, not the first shot at WWE this night. But we'll get to that when we get to that. This is actually a pretty good match. A much better match than I thought it was going to be. Now, I didn't think it was going to be terrible, obviously, but you know, there was not too many things at stake. There was there was some build to it, but I didn't really think that there was enough build, in my opinion. However, all four men absolutely delivered. Wardlow continues to show off his capabilities. I would say he is definitely the real MVP in this match. You know, there is still a little bit of tension being teased between MJF and Wardlow. Some people think it's too early to break them up. Me personally, yeah. I mean, if you break them up like next week, absolutely. But you start building it now, and then throughout the course of Dynamite and even pay-per-views to come, then you finally start, breaking them up and you give them a feud. That's what you do, and I think this is their perfect example of long-term booking by AEW. So this was great stuff, and finally the match did end when the Jurassic Express did finally pin Wardlow, because MJF got the Dynamite ring and almost was about to deck Wardlow. That's when we had the teasing where Wardlow, where he does say, can't you do anything right to Wardlow? And then finally he does accidentally hit him, and this allows Jurassic Express to pin Wardlow and finally get the victory. So finally the faces in this feud do get one over the heels. I can't wait to see what happens between MJF and Wardlow down the line. Next up, we do have Hikaru Shida defending her AEW women's title against the bad girl, or the super bad girl now, Penelope Ford. I forget that's what she's called herself. I absolutely love this match. I think this was very much an early contender for match of the night. And this was absolutely fantastic. Just counter after counter, agility and after agility, spot after spot. Just great stuff here, man. We did have Penelope kicking out of a Falcon Arrow at one point, and you know that no one kicks out of a Falcon Arrow, but I was absolutely impressed with the grit of Penelope Ford. Of course, her flexibility where she does the Matrix dodge. All that stuff is amazing. Finally, we did have her fiance get involved. Ford is on the outside. She grabs the AEW women's title. This distracts Aubrey Edwards, which allows Sabian to come in with the kendo stick. Shida knocks it out of Sabian's hand and kills him with it. Well, not kills him, but she beats the crap out of him with it. Finally, this distraction allows Penelope Ford to come in. She thinks she's going to get the better of Shida, but no. Finally, a knee to the face puts away Penelope Ford to win the match. And this was really good. Really enjoyed it. And I'm glad that Shida has retained. I wonder who her next challenger should be. I think it's going to be Britt Baker at some point after she wraps up her feud with Big Swole. I think Baker is coming for Shida. Next up, we have another title defense. This time, Cody, the TNT champion, defends his title against Jake Hager, the rock hard Jake Hager, as JR so wonderfully put his. My God, I'm sorry, I couldn't say that with a straight face, but oh my, I'm leaving all this in there, okay? I don't give a shit, but as far as the match, rock hard. Oh my God. But this is not scripted at all. I'm genuinely laughing.
One eternity later.
All right. Okay. Okay. Anyway, with that being said, the match itself wasn't bad. It was really nothing to write home about. Again, I'm still not a fan of Jake Hager, like at all. Honest to God, like I don't know, man. He just doesn't do it for me. I mean, again, Jake Hager way better than Jack Swagger. I'll give him that, but that doesn't really say much. Anyway, but Cody, on the other hand, definitely. This wasn't an amazing match because I think Cody, he needs months and months and months of time to build this feud. I mean, it was literally just Jake Hager showing up and Cody just saying, "Oh, you want a match? Here you go." So nothing really stuck out to me in this match, frankly. But overall, like I said, it is what it is. It was a pretty typical affair. However, Cody had help in this match in the form of course, Arn Anderson as well as Dustin. So I think we are building up towards a Cody heel turn at some point. And of course, Cody, again, he did do the whole 4 thing. I'm guessing we're going to get a version of the 4 Horsemen. So I think that's what absolutely has to happen. And I'm really looking forward to when it finally does happen. However, the match does end when Hager went for a submission, but Cody countered it into a crossroads to win the match. We now get Private Party accompanied by Hardy Boy Matt Hardy versus Santana and Ortiz. And Orange Cassidy comes out and sits down at the commentary table, much to the chagrin of Le Champion, Chris Jericho. And this was a good match. I really, really enjoyed it. I mean, both these teams are absolutely charismatic and have a lot going for them in the ring. And, I think a lot of people said that Private Party were a little sloppy when they first returned. I think they've definitely been able to pick up their stride and hold their own against Santana and Ortiz. So this was a great match here, but finally it did end with Mark Quinn and Isaiah Cassidy hitting the gin and juice to win the match. Now, again, the match was really good, but I don't understand how Private Party won. I think Santana and Ortiz, they've been the ones, kind of really killing it on Dynamite. I would have think they should have been awarded the win. Now, I get it, they're with Matt Hardy, Private Party are. However, I mean, I think Santana and Ortiz should have taken this match. I don't understand why it had to be Private Party. But hey, it is what it is. We did, of course, get a bit of a pull-apart brawl between Cassidy and Jericho. Cassidy just has to stare at Jericho's face to get a reaction out of him. Like, Cassidy doesn't have to do anything. He just has to exist, and Jericho gets pissed off. And it's the best thing ever. So I loved it. I can't wait for Jericho versus Cassidy next week. So that's going to be awesome. So before we go to the main event, I did want to mention that Jon Moxley versus Brian Cage will not be happening on night 2 because of everything going on with Renee getting COVID-19, as well as Moxley being exposed to Renee because of COVID. So he's obviously quarantining himself for 2 weeks, in his house and whatnot. And then, of course, hopefully Renee is fine. She seems to be fine now. I mean, she's getting a cookbook and all that good stuff, so congratulations on that. I hope there are some vegetarian recipes, by the way, because I'm a vegetarian and I need some recipes during this whole quarantine. Regardless, we do get the announcement that at Fight for the Fallen, 2 weeks from now, we're going to get Moxley versus Cage, and that's going to be the main event of that particular episode of Dynamite. Brian Cage and Taz do cut a promo. Well, Taz does. He basically says that, first of all, AEW doesn't run a sloppy shop when it comes to COVID-19 testing. Very good dig at WWE, because, see, here's the thing. Tony Khan actually realizes that COVID-19 is real. Vince. Great promo by Taz. I mean, Taz is absolutely gold on the mic. Gives Paul Heyman for a run for his money. I know a lot of people said that Brian Cage and Taz are like the great value Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. I would argue the opposite. I mean, controversial opinion, but I would argue the opposite personally. I think Taz is absolutely doing a great job, and I would say, like I said, giving Paul Heyman a run for his money, and obviously Brian Cage is, in my opinion, the better athlete than Lesnar. So anyway, with that being said, let's move on to our main event. And we finally have our main event, and that is, of course, Kenny Omega and Hangman Adam Page defending their AEW tag team titles against the Best Friends, who have the entrance of the night. They came in a minivan driven by Trent's mom. So Trent's mom dropped them off at the arena, parked the car, and actually she went and sat down. We see her in the audience a little later on in the match. FTR come in with a couple of lawn chairs and a whole cooler filled with beer, and they share some beers with the announced team. Awesome match here. I think all four of these men are just absolute amazing athletes in their own right. As single stars or as a tag team, they are fan-freaking-tastic. I think, I think there were even some points where I did think that the Best Friends would take the titles off of Omega and Page, kickstarting maybe that feud at some point. However, the match finally did end with Omega and Page on the same page, no pun intended. Oh, by the way, Adam Page was pretty sober throughout this match. He wasn't drinking during their promo before the match or nothing like that. I mean, they were just, he was there. He was sober, and he was still really good. So that's there. But anyway, the match finally ended with Omega and Page hitting their patented last call and win the match, retain their titles. Afterwards, we have FTR coming into the ring, and they offer a beer to both Omega and Page. Page obviously takes it, so he wasn't sober for that long, and he's drinking the beer. Omega, he doesn't drink. As for those who don't know, he actually doesn't drink in real life. He is straight edge, and he actually pours the beer out outside of the ring, which is kind of a show of disrespect. And obviously FTR get up in their faces. Young Bucks come in, and we see both of the Adam Page siding with FTR, and Omega and the Bucks are kind of teeing off. I'm definitely thinking that eventually we're gonna get a 6-man tag match between these two, but of course, first we need to start the feud between FTR and the Bucks, as well as Omega and Adam Page. So those need to happen. Those are some things that need to be put in place. So yeah, there's that. But great match, and a really good way to end off Fyter Fest Night 1. So overall, I thought that Fyter Fest Night 1 was a pretty good night for wrestling. Although I will be honest, a lot of the matches that I'm really looking forward to are on Night 2. However, I think they delivered. They did a great job for the most part. I don't think there was a bad match on this card. I don't think there was any match that I inherently absolutely disliked. As far as matches that I did enjoy, obviously Shida versus Forward was really good. And of course, the AEW Tag Team title match, absolute gem of a match. We really enjoyed it. Adam Page and Omega are they're the real MVPs of AEW right now. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to give Fyter Fest Night 1 a thumbs up. We begin the Great American Bash Night 1, the NXT version, with a fatal 4-way elimination match for the #1 contendership for the NXT Women's title. The participants are Tegan Nox, Dakota Kai, Candice LeRae, and Mia Yim. This was absolutely fantastic. I didn't take any notes, but I think it was really good. We had two separate rivalries resurfacing once again. Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox, that animosity is still there. Mia Yim and Candice LeRae, still have unfinished business, so that was great. Early on, we had both the heels kind of getting out of the ring, and Tegan and Mia kind of going at it for a little bit, but of course, Candice does quickly come back in, as does Dakota. That was all good stuff, and finally, we did have Mia Yim eliminating Candice LeRae with the soul food, or protect your neck, I think. Dakota Kai eliminating Mia Yim. So finally, the last two competitors are Tegan Nox and Dakota Kai. Once and for all, because both women have one up on each other. We had, during that straight fight, we had, Dakota Kai going over, and then on that 6-woman tag match at In Your House, we had Tegan Nox pinning Dakota Kai to win that match for her team. So now the odds are 1-on-1, and this was great. I think this was a good, just a good pure wrestling match between these two. No outside interference by Raquel Gonzalez, as that is prohibited. So that was good stuff. I'm glad that they did that. And finally, we did have Tegan Nox put away Dakota Kai with the shiniest wizard, and she will go on at some point to face off against Io Shirai, with Io Shirai, since it was a non-title match, at some point for the NXT Women's title. I'm really looking forward to that match. Up next, we get an absolute mat classic. This is probably the dark horse of night one for the Great American Bash. We have Timothy Thatcher taking on Oney Lorcan. Both absolute experts in catch wrestling, technical brilliance amongst these two. And I know these two have faced off in the indies, and now we kind of get something like that here. And my God, what a match. I don't know what else you want me to say. This was fantastic, man. Just go watch the damn match. Just go watch it. First of all, again, to reiterate, I didn't take any notes this time around. I'll do it next week, but I didn't take any notes this time. Just go watch this damn match, because this had everything and anything you need. This is absolutely, if anyone is trying to get into wrestling at some point, this is one match that you should absolutely watch, sit down, and freaking take some notes, okay? So, absolutely good stuff. Finally, the match ends with Timothy Thatcher locking in Oney Lorcan in a Fujiwara armbar. Oney taps, but Thatcher does keep it locked in for a long time. Again, definitely cementing him as a heel, obviously. And yeah, just great stuff. I can't stop gushing over this match. Just go watch it. Let's move on to the next match. We now get Rhea Ripley versus Aaliyah and Robert Stone in a handicap match. If Rhea loses this match, she is forced to join the Robert Stone brand. I hated this match. Well, okay, fine. I didn't hate the match. I thought this was my least favorite match for sure. And I will say, Aaliyah, I can't believe I'm saying this, but she has gotten better. She's a little bit better in the ring. Robert Stone is basically a comedy act. He's like a rip-off Rocky Balboa kind of thing going on. Rhea Ripley just absolutely decimates both of them. I mean, they both kind of get some shots in, but Ripley basically decimates them both. This is probably the closest we're ever going to get towards an intergender match at WWE, especially around 2020. I actually don't mind intergender matches. I actually think they're fine. Although I don't need a full card where it's men versus women. I don't mind that. One match, a novelty match, that's fine. But I don't need, a whole card of intergender match. Rhea Ripley gets the submission on both Robert Stone and Aaliyah, and Robert Stone instantaneously taps. It's a shame to see Rhea Ripley kind of reduced to this. I mean, she was in the title picture for, it feels like forever ago that she was in the title picture. I really hope at some point we get Rhea Ripley versus Io Shirai for the NXT Women's Championship, because this was absolutely ridiculous. And now a match that I actually liked. Roderick Strong taking on Dexter Lumis. It was weird because we had a promo package with Roderick Strong and Dexter Lumis, and Roderick Strong had a beard in that, and then he shaved it off, and I guess it came to me. This was a fine match. It was the first ever strap match on NXT. It was good. Roderick Strong got murdered. That's literally all you need to know. I mean, okay, fine. He did get some shots in. It was actually a fairly competitive match. I'm just kidding. But it doesn't change the fact that Roderick Strong freaking got murdered by Dexter Lumis. Even though he had the help of his Undisputed Era buddy, Bobby Fish. Adam Cole, obviously, preparing for his match against Keith Lee next week. Roderick Strong absolutely got murdered by Dexter Lumis. That is literally all you need to know. So that's that. So before we get to the main event, we did have El Legado del Fantasma coming in and cutting a promo. Basically, Santos Escobar wants to reshape Lucha Libre and kind of redefine Lucha Wrestling, his legacy as a luchador and whatnot, which is cool, which I really like this promo. Drake Maverick came in, he had this big old neck brace, which he tore off. He came at Santos Escobar, but of course, we had Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza to stop him, and they hold him, and Santos Escobar says, I told you, little man, you can't stop me, something along those lines. Breezango come in and they make the save. So El Legado del Fantasma, they leave and Breezango challenge all three men to a 6-man tag match, which is happening next week. That should be a good one. And finally, our main event. Sasha Banks, one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions, along with Bayley, who is at ringside, who is also the SmackDown Women's Champion, taking on the NXT Women's Champion, Io Shirai. This match kind of happened when Sasha took exception to what Io Shirai said, that this is her NXT now. But anyway, this was a very good match. Like, this is definitely a dream match for a lot of people because Sasha Banks is a very good athlete, as well as Io Shirai, who I would say is the better athlete. Awesome match here. Both of these women absolutely keeping each other in check, giving both each other a run for their money. It was just great stuff. Not too much chicanery from Bayley. Towards the end a little bit, Bayley does, distract the ref with the tag team title, and obviously the ref kind of takes it away. Bayley is wrestling with the referee, not really, but she's trying to wrestle it out of the ref's hand. This allows Sasha Banks to try to go for the other tag team strap, and out from under the ring pops out the Raw Women's Champion and Sasha's opponent at Extreme Rules, the horror show or whatever, Asuka. And she sprays green mist onto Sasha Banks, allowing Io Shirai to hit the moonsault and win this match. Great stuff here. Obviously afterwards, both Io and Asuka celebrate in the ring. Mauro does bring up the fact that these two women were a tag team in Japan. They were a tag team in Stardom. And this was really good stuff. Good to see these two together again. I just wish that Kairi was there as well, but it's okay. It is what it is. Great match, like I said, and a fantastic way to end out night one of the Great American Bash. So overall, I think the Great American Bash night one was a solid show as well, even though I really wasn't a big fan of that handicap match. I just didn't really like it. I can't believe Rhea Ripley has been produced to this. I'm going to say it again until she's back in the title picture. But anyway, as far as my favorite matches, I'm going to say that I really liked the Fatal 4-Way in the beginning, along with Timothy Thatcher versus Oney Lorcan. Also, the main event, obviously, with Io Shirai versus Sasha Banks. And Fyter Fest, I did also like the opening bout, the tag team match between MJF and Wardlow versus Jurassic Express. That was a really good match as well. I forgot to mention that. But anyway, that was really good. As far as a rating for the Great American Bash, I give that a thumbs up as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes night one of the Great American Bash and Fyter Fest. I will see you guys next week for night two. But until then, let me know what you guys thought about night one in the comment section below. What were your favorite matches? Which one did you think was better? All that good stuff. I'll put up a poll right up here, which you can vote and whatnot. But anyway, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow me on social media, and tell your friends about the Nerdy Mark. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your continued support. I'll see you next time. Stay safe. You take care. Bye-bye.